All right. Like I am staying with is watching TV, so no sleep. It's getting colder up here. I've been up here about 2 minutes, and my hands are already pretty frozen. Um, when it comes to your kids, hopefully looking at the situations that I've been dealing with, you're starting to understand how important it is, how important your children are. Your children don't learn what you tell them; they learn what you show them. If you show them that you're gonna say one thing and do another, your kids are gonna do that exact same thing. You show them that your words don't match your actions, that's what they're gonna learn. My castle idea, when I first came up with that, it was the idea of Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. A safe place for the Lost Boys. I didn't think of it as just boys, though. Boys and girls. Of course, I was like 7, and the thing is, I was in the system because both of my parents chose cocaine over their own kids. It wasn't because of anything that I had done. And I look at a lot of the friends that I got, a lot of people that I love so much, and I look at their parents, and their parents did the same thing. They they chose drugs over their own kids, and their kids resent them for it. And those were the kids that I grew up. Most of them are around my age, within about, I don't know, I'd say 10 years younger or 10 years older. So I guess this video is going to be mostly about my castle because of that. I know a lot of you guys, you Disney princesses, you you think about a big castle with Belle and the Beast and things of that nature. That's not what it is for me. For me, it's a safe place for myself. It's a safe place for these kids and for these adults. In Amy Spencer's situation, she chose her drugs and her boyfriend over her kids. The safety of her children was just not that big a concern. With Jamie, she's a player. Her son knows this. He gets to see it. That's what he sees. He got to see that Jamie was dating two guys at once, and her son is just approaching them teenage years, and he's learning how to play people. He's learning that he has to keep secrets. He's got to keep secrets from one boyfriend about the other one, and vice versa. And because there's a genuine safety concern, the things that Jamie told me about James, he had to keep secrets from me too. And that's not cool. Boy his age shouldn't have to deal with that. A lot of the smartest kids I went to school with ended up being some of the dumbest parents. And a lot of you, you're like, well, Sean, you're not a parent. You got no right to judge. No, I really do. See, I've sacrificed more for your kids than you'll ever know, more than you'll ever acknowledge. The things I had to do in Wyoming, people shouldn't have to do that. I was helping take care of Amy Spencer's kids because she couldn't stay off the fucking drugs. She wanted to dump her kids off with Rihanna and go on a bender. She knew that Rihanna was an alcoholic. She knew that Rihanna was going through a lot of alcohol every day. That's who she chose to dump her kids off with. Then Amy wanted to tell her kids to not talk to me, that Rihanna better not leave them kids alone with me, and so on and so forth. You know who watched them kids? That was me. You know who was cleaning up after them kids? It was me. Was I buying them food? No, but Rihanna was. Rihanna bought the food. Rihanna's finances. I didn't have an income. I'm busy taking care of these kids that aren't mine. I'm in a situation where I went there for help, and I'm taking care of kids that aren't mine. Amy, between her kids and their safety, and Andrew, who is obviously an addict and not safe around her kids, she chose Andrew. She chose Andrew over her own kids, knowing that he's been addicted to methamphetamine since before they got together. I posted that evidence up here. So while she's at work, taking care of the finances, and Andrew is off getting meth out of his fucking gourd all day, I'm taking care of the kids. Jamie's son, he's pretty self-sufficient. While she was working her second job, which she was working a second job, me and him just hung out, you know? We played Magic the Gathering. We watched movies together. I mean, me and him got a lot of fucking similar interests. Shit, if I didn't know better, I'd think he was mine. I know he's not, though. Through all of this, I can't take care of myself. I can barely function as a human being, and I'm taking care of kids that aren't mine. When I was at Shannon's, Shannon craves attention all the time. She's always talking, always, always. And she's constantly spending time with her daughter, because her daughter is a handful, I'll give her that. But her son kind of falls by the wayside as a result of it. And that's not to say she doesn't pay him any attention, because she does. And Rick's son as well, I mean, when they're arguing, those kids hear that. Every night, those kids hear that. With them screaming at each other, it wasn't just me who heard that. It wasn't just me that hurt. At Shannon Alvarado's, I wasn't taking care of kids. I didn't have to. But you see what I got for trusting Amy Spencer, for trusting her, for trusting her with my tools, for trusting her with my tattoo equipment. I got to take care of her kids and an alcoholic. Fuck, I didn't know what to do. These aren't my kids. How do I get them away from Rihanna? How do I get them to somewhere safe? Having to make that judgment call of, are they better off here with Rihanna, or are they better off in the system? I've been in the system. I know that some of those foster homes are good. Sometimes you get lucky. You get a good foster parent like Gary and Mary Jepson. Sometimes you get bad foster parents like Ron and Julie. They were some of my parents in Longmont, Colorado when I was a kid. But you guys, you say, I can't do anything about this stuff that's going on. All I can do is teach my kids to do better. No, you can't. You can't teach your kids to do better unless you are doing better. Most of the kids that I grew up with, their parents had kids because they got fucked up on drugs and had sex. They got fucked up on alcohol and had sex. Ted Bollinger's got all sorts of kids because he had the drugs these addicts wanted. He had the drugs that Danica Garner was addicted to. He had the drugs that Rochelle Campbell was addicted to. And they'd get fucked up on drugs and have kids. And yeah, those kids are going to have problems. Those kids are going to have issues. It's not like you fell in love and, it was natural and you guys got along and everything was great and wonderful. No, you guys had a drug induced euphoria. Your ovaries were tainted, his semen were tainted, and you had a baby together. So we got all these addicts raising children, and most of them aren't raising their children. They're dumping them off on people like me. I mean, it wasn't just me watching Amy and Andrew's kids while she was at work and while he was off getting fucked up on drugs. I also watched them because they wanted to go to Colorado for a trip every once in a while, or because they wanted to go have dinner together. And, albeit that was usually Amy's request, Andrew didn't really fucking want to do anything with her. He was always complaining that she was smothering him because she wanted to know where he was at all the time. She wanted to control his life. And she was, but also she's scared. Raising those kids by herself is fucking scary as shit, now isn't it? But she wasn't just trying to raise those kids. She's also trying to raise man-child, Andrew Witcher. I mean, he's a bigger baby than the kids in the house. Then there's Jamie still playing fucking junior high school games with people. I mean, Jesus fuck, when are you gonna grow up? You're a fucking parent. I'm not. Your son's safety should be your first concern. Playing two dudes at the same time and having your son having to keep secrets from him. Playing me and using your son to get it because I'm the only dude that you can't play by batting your eyes at me. So you used your son. You shouldn't have played like his safety was a factor if it wasn't. And again, the things that I recorded with him, he talks about how he hid in his room when you and James got back together. But he wasn't talking about you guys getting back together. He was talking about when he first started coming back over. He said he hid in his room because he was scared of James. We all need a safe place. We all end up depending on people who, well, we have to give them power. We have to trust them not to take advantage of us because we can't afford this shit on our own. Now, those with autistic kids, that's an even more fucked up scenario, especially single parents. I mean, you know what childcare costs? Now, I want you to imagine that you got to come up with, and this is a number that's at least 4 years old now, but 4 years ago, it was $27 an hour for childcare for a child who's autistic. How many parents are even earning $27 an hour? Now you have to earn that $27 an hour, and all summer long, you know, you have those kids and you still have to go to work. It's not like when the school year is going on and you're like, all right, well, it's just $27 an hour for Saturday. And although I'm only getting paid $8.50 an hour, I have to keep this job. So basically, even though my kid's at school on Friday, so I don't have to pay the babysitter for Friday, and same thing on Thursday, I still have to pay Thursday and Friday's wages in order Thursday, Friday, and Saturday's wages to pay for childcare for Saturday. And you know that your significant other is screwing around on you, but you need the rough. You know that Andrew is fucked up on drugs, and your daughter told on him for touching her, but you need him to watch your kids. Jesus fuck. Who was it that Amy called? Who is it that she got a hold of when she kicked Andrew out of the house? She got a hold of me. After the fucked up bullshit that they pulled in 2018. In 2019, when she finally got rid of his ass, who was it that she called? Me. Jamie's son loves me. I love him. I love Jamie. I love Andrew too. I love my little brother Michael. But the other thing is, I've helped to raise a lot of kids that aren't mine. These parents couldn't stop making bad choices, bad decisions. Some of them, they chose dick over their own kids. Some of them chose to chase skirts over their own kids. Ted Bollinger chose to abuse his kids. He chose drugs over his own kids. He chose violence over his own kids. Rose, she chose alcohol and abusive men over her own kids. Amy Spencer chose drugs over her own kids. Randy Ingersoll, she wanted her kids. She still does, I'm sure of it. But she needed to sober up first, and she knew it. I was supposed to be there to help her sober up. We made an agreement. And there were no kids involved at that point when we made our agreement. Then when she got dumped off with Amy's kids, yeah, I'm the one that she came to for help about that. And those girls were so unruly, and Rayanna couldn't handle it. Shit, it's difficult enough to stop drinking. It's even more difficult when you got fucking kids like that. Oh my God. But I did the best I could for them. The thing is that they don't have very good examples. Jamie's son, he doesn't have very good examples of adults in his life. Amy's kids, they don't have very good examples of adults in their life. Don't get me wrong, I love Mickey Spencer. That's Amy's mother. But this is the same woman who was crushing up my little brother Michael's Ritalin and snorting it with my mom. And this woman was fucking around with meth before her kids even knew what the shit was. And then Amy, well, she got into meth too, didn't she? Got to worry about her kids getting into that. They're in the system right now. When they get out, they're going to be, well, they're going to be either A, dropped off with nothing like I was. They will have more assistance because they're female. But fuck. that's the shit that I worry about. These kids. I worry about Ted Bollinger's kids. I worry about Amy Spencer's kids. I worry about Jamie's kid. I worry about Amy Witcher's kids. I worry about Shannon Alvarado's kids and Rick McCormick's kids. You guys tell me it's not my business. No, it certainly is. It certainly is my business. It's all of our business. You're not going to teach them a better way. You're not going to go getting drunk and fucked up on drugs and teach them a better way by doing so. No, you're going to teach them that that's how you deal with your problems. You get drunk. You get all fucked up. For me, when it comes to kids, yeah, I can go without weed. I absolutely can. If it was a choice between smoking cigarettes and making sure those kids were safe, yes, I'd fucking quit smoking cigarettes. There's also the situations that a lot of these parents have to deal with that I'm not even a parent and I have to worry about those things for these kids. I mean, I had to make a choice between Rihanna, a friend of over 20 years, and Amy Spencer's kids. I chose Amy Spencer's kids. I had to choose between Andrew Witcher and his kids. I chose his kids. My castle idea. It's just land. But it's land that I would have control over. I could choose who lives there and who doesn't. Because a lot of people are more selfish than I am. Most people are more selfish than I am. I mean, a lot of people all throughout this are telling me, from Mandy to Shannon to all of these people telling me you're selfless. I'm not. I'm more selfless than you are, though, that's for sure. Then, when they didn't come forward, and don't get me wrong, they did try. I mean, if you've listened to the conversations on here between me and those people, you know that they tried. It wasn't their fault that the cops wouldn't listen. They just didn't try it the way that I said. They also didn't understand that when I'm in those overwhelming environments, I mean, I need to be able to take care of the stuff that I need to take care of. And I can't do that. I can't do that with that going on. It's Sally Creon's. For me, calling the cops, that's not going to do anything, obviously. So I let somebody who I knew was a mandated reporter know. I let Jerry Sparks know. Now, mind you, I helped to raise Jerry's kids. When they lived here in Chapel, Jerry was paying Lana Ingeline to babysit her kids, and Lana never came out of her fucking camper. So I'd come home with a bag of cereal and a gallon of milk. Every day I did that. A bag of cereal and a gallon of milk. Make sure those kids have at least that. And I'd hang out with them and I'd teach them stuff. I mean, who wouldn't? The world that we live in, there's a lot of interesting stuff, and kids soak that shit up. But then what are the parents doing? They're ignoring the kids. They're talking about their next trip to Colorado to get weed. Or they're getting drunk and talking about getting laid. They're bringing these kids into a bunch of adult stuff. These kids don't get to be kids. Meanwhile, a lot of these adults, they learn that's how you deal with your problems. You get drunk, you have sex, you get fucked up on meth, you inject yourself some heroin. That's how you deal with your problems. Instead of fighting back, instead of doing something about it, you get fucked by the taxes, you get fucked by the cops, and you delve deeper into your own self pity, that bottle, that fucking needle, that next bump. Your kids aren't fucking stupid. They're not. I mean, sure, my little sister's pretty dumb. She's not a bad person, but she's fucking stupid as shit. But I'll be the first to admit my little sister is still a good mom. Or at least that's what I thought until she moved her daughter, my niece, in with a child molester. This, according to Marie Long. That's my niece's grandmother on her dad's side. I helped to raise a lot of kids that weren't my own. Jenny Frericks, she's an adult now. Tyler Frericks, he's an adult now. Donnie Sparks, he's an adult now. And even Miss Jerry had to admit that I helped raise her kids. I helped her move 7 different occasions. But she always had this big emergency when she had to move because this dude that she was living with was some sort of terrible monster. And then she'd go back with that dude who she had pegged as a terrible monster. It's not just confusing for me, that's confusing for those kids. Same thing with James Payton. That's why Jamie hid the fact that she got back together with him after painting him as this big, huge, terrible monster. After her neighbor coming out and telling me that he'd done that at least 7 times. Yeah, fucking, I'm not going to be able to respect that, and she knew it. But I wasn't there for it. I wasn't there for the abuse. I wasn't there for the boy's life because, well, she didn't choose me. And I don't mean as a boyfriend, I don't mean as a husband. I mean just simply as a part of her life. My own family didn't care about me. When I was growing up, they didn't pay any fucking attention. They didn't care. My dad was in prison, but before that, he was on drugs. Afterwards, he was drunk. My mom, she just saw me as a paycheck. There's a lot of fucked up situations like that. A lot of parents like that. My mom and my dad, when they split me and my older brother up, we'd already been split up for years. We were in the same foster home together in Scottsbluff, our first foster home, and that was it. After that, me and Eric didn't grow up together. He was in different foster homes than I was, different group homes than I was. Got abused by different people. He had to endure a lot of abuse in a Colorado Christian home. I endured abuse in Fort Logan and Mount St. Vincent's. But these kids, they deserve a safe place. we got CPS all over the place lying to separate parents from their kids because there's a lot of money involved, a lot of taxpayer dollars involved. Meanwhile, they don't really check up on these foster families as much as they should. I mean, they're just assuming that these foster parents are going to be good parents. And they're giving these foster parents more money per kid every year than these parents would have needed to be able to take care of their kids. This parent can't spend an extra $400 a month for insurance for their kids. Now let's take $400 times 12 months. How much money is that? 12, 24, 36, 48. That'd be about $4,800, right? I'm pretty tired. My math might be entirely incorrect. But it seems to me, yeah, it's about $4,800 per year. $4,800. Or $74,000 for a foster family to take them in. This parent can't afford insurance, so they're abusing their children. Really? You're going to take their kids away over $400 a month? And you're going to pay $74,000 a year to have this child raised by somebody who isn't their parent? Meanwhile, are you going to check up on those kids in that foster care scenario, that foster care system? No. No, you're not. I had good foster homes, I really did, but I was in the temporary foster care system in the 1980s in Colorado. That was, but here was the rules. You were only allowed 2 weeks per foster home. And you weren't allowed to go to the same foster home twice because of attachment issues. I should have been adopted. After quite a while of not getting to see my parents, being promised every weekend that I'd get to see them and they just never fucking showed up. Yeah, I got abandonment issues. Fuck it. For my loved ones to not understand, first of all, and then for them to throw me away because of the things that I had to do out of desperation. I can't do this by myself. None of these people are doing it by themselves. They're not. Amy Spencer wasn't doing it by herself. She had her boyfriend and her mom. Her mom's got cancer. She's dying of cancer. And she's taking care of some Amy's kids. Amy's got 4 kids, by the way. 2 of her kids are in foster care in Wyoming. Her kids got taken by the state of Nebraska in 2018 because Amy and her boyfriend couldn't stay off of the meth. And they had a court order so that Josh wasn't supposed to even be there with Amy. They didn't follow that, though, did they? Sorry, I'm passing gas. Little mouse on a motorcycle burning Brodies in my britches. You want to see the skid marks? Anyway, my castle idea, when I first came up with it, it was for kids like me. There was a lot of kids in those foster homes and group homes and mental hospitals that they were just like me. They didn't have a family. They were products of abuse, substance abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, neglect, That's what we grew up in. And then in the system, we just got fed a lot more of it. That was our consolation prize. Hey, we're going to take you away from your abusive environment. You're safe now to be abused by us where it won't be checked because we're the authority. So we can't be checked. We make the rules and we can change them whenever we want. Sure, it's wrong for your dad to sexually molest you, but I'm the sex ed teacher, so it's all right for me. They had a whole bunch of fucking drugs, and the more drugs they feed you, the more fucked up you get. The more fucked up you get, the more shit they diagnose you with. The more stuff they diagnose you with, the more drugs they give you, and the more drugs they give you, the more fucked up you get. You turn 18, you age out, you get thrown out on the streets. When Jamie first moved to South Dakota from here in Nebraska to live with James, her son warned me then about James. And I helped Jamie pack her stuff out of the house right across from Pump and Pantry here in Chapel, Nebraska. I helped her pack. That wasn't the first time I helped Jamie move, but you know what killed me the most out of that? It wasn't losing Jamie, it was losing the boy. I don't always know the right thing to do, but I do know that I can't take care of myself, and these people took advantage of that. With Amy and Andrew Witcher, we made an agreement. I would watch their kids in exchange for help that I never got. With Rihanna, I would help her to raise Amy's kids, Amy Spencer's kids, in exchange for help that I never got. And I wasn't just telling those kids what to do, I was showing them. I was showing them by example. While these parents are busy off getting fucked up on drugs, I'm watching their kids. Go around to all of them, ask every one of them, did Sean abuse you? Ask them. Fucking course I didn't. But Amy Spencer, she wanted to pretend that I was abusing her kids. The Candace Bondurant, shit, I sat down and was teaching her kids how to draw zebras. I'm a pretty good art teacher. I really am. I taught Miss Jerry how to draw portraits. And me and Jerry both taught her daughter Jennifer how to draw portraits. Jennifer's fucking good. She's as good as I am easily. Miss Jerry's as good as I am easily. My heart's really hurting right now. It's cold up here, so I'm tensed up quite a bit, and it's putting some strain on me. Uh, the hell that I've been put through for doing the right thing, for having to go to people in desperate situations for help. Rihanna was in a desperate situation and she was going to help me. She obviously didn't. Um, Shannon Alvarado being an alcoholic, that was a fucked up situation. That I went there because I was desperate. I needed help. I needed the help that she promised. And she couldn't follow through because she couldn't stay sober. Rihanna couldn't follow through because she couldn't stay sober. Christopher Tapp couldn't follow through because he couldn't stay sober. Todd couldn't follow through because he couldn't stay sober. This is what these kids are learning. They're learning that when times get tough and you're not making enough to cover your rent, you spend your money on drugs and alcohol and move in with somebody who might be abusive. I looked out for Amy's kids. Now, it'd be between listening to me about that situation and listening to Amy Spencer. Amy Spencer automatically wins because she got there first. But also, it's not like Brenda Dickinson was perfect to me at all points in time. She fucked up. A lot of these people fucked up. I fucked up. But at least I wasn't abusing kids. At least I didn't choose drugs and alcohol over my own kids. I don't even have my own kids. I have 0 children. I didn't choose drugs and alcohol over these people's kids. I didn't choose a relationship or sex over these people's kids. I care more about their kids than they do. Amy Spencer, she didn't sober up to get her kids back. She gets money for having those kids, by the way. She has them, but she doesn't. And they might not give them back to her. Amy sobered up so she wouldn't go to prison. But her kids also wouldn't have ended up in the system if Amy had chosen her kids to begin with. I can't take care of myself anymore. I can't physically do it. I can't mentally do it. The laws that I've had to break, I've had to break. I get overwhelmed because I literally need help that I'm not getting. And the people that I went to for help took complete advantage of my situation. They said that they would help me. And then when I get there, there's stipulations. All right, well, I'm trying to follow your stipulations. Sean, if you do this for me, then I'll help you how you need. All right, it's a deal. So I take care of their kids. I help out with the part that they asked me to. And when it comes to keeping their end of the bargain, instead of keeping their end of the bargain, they're busy telling me to do a bunch of other shit that I don't have the resources or ability to do. That's not the help that I asked for, and it's not the help that they promised. And that's what they're teaching their kids. You don't have to keep your end of the bargain. Every law that I broke, I did out of desperation to try to force the police to do their fucking jobs. They needed to do their jobs. I needed an honest day in court. course, between listening to me and listening to a whole bunch of people that are fucked up on drugs, you're going to listen to people who are fucked up on drugs. Between listening to me and listening to child molesters, you're going to listen to the child molesters. Between listening to me and listening to people who literally fucking kill people, you're going to listen to those people. No matter what, you're going to listen to everyone but me. And I'm still going to listen to your kids.